Welcome everyone to the YouTube. I am Shelby Clark. For those who did not know, once again, welcome to the YouTube. But before we go ahead and get into the message, make sure to check out the website www.iamshelbyclark.online. There, you can fill out the form that I have and get your one-page marketing brief where I can give you a personalized diagnosis for your marketing campaigns or give you a fresh perspective on your strategies and plans that you already have for your business. Now, with that being said, you guys can also make sure to check out my no-cost consulting program. That program is strictly for those who are unsheltered, for single individuals who are making less than $16,000 a year, and for families who are making less than $26,000 a year. And you'll get free one-on-one business consultations and marketing consultations for your respective businesses that you have there. What that mainly is, not only is it going to be a one-on-one business consultation and marketing consultation, it is also going to be a mindset training program as well. And don't also forget, you guys can also go to the website to check out my AI, which is absolutely free. Now, mind you, OpenAI, ChatGPT did just update their infrastructure. So if you already have the AI clone prompt, you will have to re-enter that in. For those who don't know how to, just go through the YouTube channel. What I'm going to do is, after this is done, I will be leaving a link in the comment section for you guys to figure out how to input your AI clone prompt that you guys got from me into your LLM. All right. And also, don't forget, you can also get the Online Marketing and Sales Guide Pro bundle. It's going for $100 or $99.99. That is pretty much going to help you become a better overall salesperson, help you gain more exposure for your business, and also help you gain more sales for your business as well. And there's also going to be a playbook involved, or a workbook, I should say. The workbook is going to be pretty much showing you how to actually implement actual real life strategies into your business. Now, with that being said, let me start with something uncomfortable, because the title of this video, as you can see here, is The Survival Mindset is Running Your Business and You Don't Even Know It. So when I say this due to the fact that most entrepreneurs are not building businesses. What they're doing is they are surviving. And there is a very big difference here. All right. Now, you have to realize that survival is reactive. It's about living in the moment, living in today, right? But when you're building something, building is intentional. Not only that, building is also about legacy as well. So if you're honest with yourself, a lot of what you call strategy is actual anxiety with a Canva template, for lack of better terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to try and break this down properly for you guys, because human beings, us as humans, we are wired for survival. We are not wired for success whatsoever. It's developed over time through proper trainings, proper mentorship programs, and things like that, right? And you have to realize, again, we're not wired for success. We're not even wired for fulfillment. We're not wired for wealth creation. What we're wired for as humans is strictly survival. So the nervous system, our nervous system, doesn't care about our revenue goals whatsoever. It cares whether or not if we are safe. That's what we are wired to really and truly care about. So when you feel unsafe financially, right, or socially, let alone emotionally, what happens is your brain shifts into what neuroscientists call a threat response. That's the whole fight or flight thing that you guys hear about, or freeze or fawn. And the kicker behind this is you can literally be in a warm office, nice, all cozy, with Wi-Fi, and still be in survival mode. You know, and it's really due to the fact that survival is not about your environment. What it's really about is your perception of threat. So when you take that from just the life aspect, let's bring that into the business aspect now. So when you operate from survival, you make decisions from fear of loss or fear of missing out, what they call it nowadays. And this happens when you don't have that whole entire vision board of actually gaining something. So what you begin to do is you discount way too quickly. You undercharge for your services or products. You begin to chase every single lead that comes across your platform or across your profile or anything that comes across your way. And what you do is you tend to pivot every single month. So not only that, what you begin to do, which is something I was guilty of myself, was I began to overpost when engagement dropped. One thing I've witnessed people do is that they panic when a client tends to leave them. And not only that, they copy their competitors instead of actually innovating or coming up with something new for their own respective business in their respective niche. Now, you have to realize that is not strategy. That's what you call cortisol with the laptop. Now, just to go even a little bit deeper, inside the survival mindset is something called the scarcity mindset. Now, the scarcity mindset, excuse me, is pretty much you telling yourself, I don't have enough money. And you can't say you haven't been there. I've been there myself. So if I've been there, who's to say the next person that's walking down the street hasn't been there, from my perspective, even from yours, right? And what it really is it is the internal belief that resources are limited, opportunity is limited, so is visibility. And if someone else wins before you, you think of it as you losing. And it's a what it really is, it's a zero sum worldview. And evolutionarily, us developing over time as people, as things progressing in life, that actually made sense at that time. Because let's say, for instance, right, you have 10 berries and five people, you got to move fast because you're one of those five people. You want to get to some of those 10 berries that are there. But in reality, what we're doing is we're not hunting berries anymore. We're not doing that. What we're doing is we are now in an economy built on ideas. Ideas multiply. We all know this. Value tends to scale. We all know this. Markets expand. We all know this. And if you don't, now you do. But the thing is, your nervous system is still playing like some sort of game of Stone Age chess, right? When you realize that, that's where things start. Scarcity narrows what you would call cognitive bandwidths. Cognitive bandwidths are what you would call your how far do you think your thought process is going to go, right? So let me say this, right? In a study done on farmers in India, and before harvest, when money with farmers dropped a lot, I mean a shit ton of a lot, and after harvest, when they actually had their money, their Q scores shot through the fucking roofs. Remember, these were the same people, they just had different scarcity levels. So, scarcity is what consumes your mental RAM. It consumes the storage that you have here in your brain, right? Now, if your business is constantly feeling like it's on life support, you're not operating at a full mental bandwidth capacity. So, what you'll end up doing is you start making smaller decisions. Uh, you'll start making short term decisions. You'll make lower leverage decisions on top of that. And from all of that, what you begin to do is you realize you're optimizing just for today's invoice instead of for next year's equity. And the part that really you never hear anyone talk about is the survival scarcity mindset. It really just masquerades as what people call the hustle culture. Um, it looks like ambition, But what it really feels like is you're like panicking. You're always in this mode of like, what's going to happen? I need to figure. Oh my God, what are they going to do? I need to figure this out. That's what it really feels like. It may look like ambition, but it's not. It's the whole entire panic mode. It's a panic attack. And there's a difference between discipline and desperation there, because discipline says I'm building something inevitable. No one can avoid this. But desperation says if this doesn't work this month, I'm through. So, in other words, one brand of a business is building while the other brand of a business that's building is burning out. It kind of goes back into the whole social media manager versus marketing manager. Those are two different roles. Now, let's talk about how this actually determines how your business operates structurally, right? So, the first things first here is when it comes to pricing. Now, if you're in survival mode, right, your price your price should be able to avoid rejection. You know, let's say for instance, right, you lower the number before anyone even objects. I didn't do that. I raised the number before anyone could even object. And the main reason why is because do not know their value. What they'll do is they'll justify your value excessively and you stack your bonuses out of fear. But in reality, premium positioning requires psychological safety, right? So when you actually do this, you believe there will always be another client. You tend to negotiate differently. The second thing is marketing. Now, survival marketing just absolutely screams. It posts constantly without any clarity. What survival marketing does is it chases trends that don't even align with the brand's identity whatsoever, right? So it literally measures self-worth in likes, the whole vanity metrics, right? But strategic marketing, actual thought out, planned out process marketing, communicates from authority. What it does, it understands that attention compounds, because in marketing, the job is to get attention. And if you understand that attention compounds, you also understand that it builds the narrative, it builds trust. What it does is it plays the long game instead of the short game. You don't have to worry about, hey, like I was saying earlier in this video, if this doesn't work in a month, I'm done. No, what it does is say, hey, this is going to last me for the next 3 years. And within those 3 years, I'm going to plan for the next 5 years, right? Now, sales. When I was in sales, I used to do door-to-door sales, right? I would do like this survival-driven door-to-door uh, sales calls, right? And it felt heavy. And your prospects, right? I noticed that prospects can smell need. It's like, hey, I need this. Hey, I need you to sign this. No, they smell, and humans are literally wired to retreat from neediness. Because when a human responds to need, they look at it like, oh, you're desperate. Oh, you really are desperate. And what they'll do is, like I was saying, they'll retreat. But strategic sales a little bit more calmer than what a lot of people tend to believe it does. Because with strategic sales, it qualifies and it disqualifies. It does is it understands that walking away increases power. For instance, when I would do door-to-door sales, I would literally turn my back to the customer. Like, let them know, hey, I'm done talking. I already gave you the information. I told you what you had to do to get this problem fixed. I'm done talking. Either you're going to do it or you're not. And when I would turn my back to the customer, what they would do was either one or two things. And a majority of the time, a good 90 to 92% of the time, what they would do is they will go and get their electric or gas bill, right? Only about 8% of the time is when they would shut the door. or they wouldn't, or even when I knocked, they probably wouldn't even open the door because they know I would close the deal right then and there. But always remember, walking away does increase power. Just a simple showing of the back also increases power too. Now, you have team dynamics. Now, team dynamics runs a little differently because if you run a business from scarcity, what you do is you tend to micromanage. You pretty much take on all the responsibility. You hoard the responsibility. And you don't even want to delegate tasks to your team because you think that no one will do the job right. And because you guys know the saying, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. But in business, you have to work together as a team. And you cannot fear delegation whatsoever because that's not excellence whatsoever. It's the fear of losing control when you think about it. Now, vision. And no, I'm not talking about the Marvel character from the Avengers, right? Vision. Survival thinking, right? Cannot see 5 years ahead. You're not going to be able to tell what you're going to be doing or where you're going to be at 5 years from today, for instance, right? Uh, you can't even allocate capital to research and development or R&D for sure. Even be able to build intellectual property when you really think about it. So if you cannot invest in brand equity, right? Because it's too busy checking the oxygen mask, you won't be able to actually introduce a subtle but critical concept. And that's that survival is not evil because survival is what kept your ancestors alive when you think about it, right? It kept you alive through hard seasons. But survival is only a phase. It really is. It's not the headquarters. You're supposed to graduate from survival. And the problem is that many entrepreneurs they're building their entire identities around overcoming struggle. And what they do is they unconsciously they recreate subtle the struggle because it feels familiar. Now, the nervous system in itself, right? It prefers familiar pain um, over something that feels alien, unfamiliar expansion, for lack of better terms, right? And you just read that again internally, because if chaos feels normal to a person, right? That means stability can feel suspicious. Now, if you grew up in something unstable, if you grew up in chaos, if you grew up in instability, um, having a consistent revenue stream might actually feel kind of unsafe. It really will. It's kind of like what Meek Mill said. Um, was it Meek Mill? You ever count? I don't even know if it was Meek Mill, but I know it was a lyric that went along that says, "You ever count so much money that you got scared?" That's exactly what this is right here. So what actually happens from that is that you begin to self-sabotage, right? You delay the launches, you begin to pick fights, you procrastinate high leverage work when in reality that's what you need to be focusing on. Not self-sabotaging, not delaying these launches, not picking fights with your teammates, not procrastinating on anything that you have going on. You will really want to say, um, "Oh, what's up, y'all? I didn't even know you guys were watching." Let me see. Where's the comments at? We'll get the comments here on stream, right? So what you want, you say you want to scale, right? But your nervous system wants predictability, and in reality, this is not weakness whatsoever. This is what you would call wiring. This is the hard wiring, and the wiring can be rewired. So for this shift to happen, you have to move from a survival mindset, excuse me, to a stewardship mindset. In other words, being of service, being the one to serve. And you have to realize survival actually asks, how do I make it? But when you're actually being of service, you ask, how do I multiply what I have? When you're in stewardship, you ask, how do I multiply what I have? Because survival protects, but stewardship, that actually expands everything. Survival is about consumption. With stewardship, it's about ownership at the end of the day. So when you see yourself as a steward of ideas, capital, influence, right? Let alone community, your decisions tend to change. Your investments, you invest in your systems more than ever when you think about it. Not only that, you begin to also document, build assets. You'll think decades instead of just short term. You won't think about tomorrow. You'll think about what's going on for 10 years. You stop reacting to every market fluctuation, right? You'll even stop chasing validation. I've noticed people. I've literally witnessed people stop doing that, and it's fucking insane. Not only that, you'll start to build infrastructure a hell of a lot fucking more too. And this is the part I was kind of worried about because this is the truth that nobody really wants to hear. Your business is a mirror. Literally, your business is a mirror. If you feel unstable internally, your business will look externally unstable as well. So inconsistent revenue, and often inconsistent revenue will consistent belief. Uh, you have a chaotic operations going on. That's going to mirror your chaotic thinking. You have underpricing, and underpricing is really just going to mirror the undervaluing yourself. You can't really outmarket a deregulated nervous system. It's damn near fucking impossible. And if you've done it, I would love to hear something in the comments saying, hey, yeah, I've done that before. Because that's not motivational bullshit. That's what you call biology. So, what do you do practically? First, I would actually increase psychological safety. That's the first thing I would do. I would increase psychological safety and build cash reserves. When I say cash reserves, I don't just mean like savings. It could be something hey, bury some money, have some assets laying around that you invest in. Like people invest in jewelry, people invest in diamonds. Those are like cash reserves because you can always sell those. And even 1 month of runway changes your whole entire decision of quality, really, when you think about it. The second thing I would do is define your 5-year thesis. And yes, I said thesis, not a goal, but a thesis. And I say this because when you write down what do you believe about your industry that most people don't, you'll tend to see that you begin to operate from conviction and not reaction in itself. The next thing I would do would be to slow down high stakes decisions because scarcity tends to speed things up. You always want to get things done really quickly, right? And don't get me wrong, everybody knows we don't have much time. We don't. If you're in sales, then you pretty much know about sense of urgency because the more time you waste, that means the more time you lose out on your next deal. But if you realize that abundance allows pauses, you also realize that, hey, I have time to take care of this so I can get to this goal, right? The next thing I would do would be to detach identity from immediate outcomes because the revenue that you actually get, that's actually your feedback, right? I was watching a video on YouTube just last night. There was a woman, she was speaking on her sales. She was selling PDFs or ebooks, right? And she made $50,000 from these ebooks that she was selling. But within the last 3 months, she wasn't making, she was made a big old donut, big old zeros. She wasn't making anything whatsoever. And that was her feedback. So she started to look into sub niches. And from there, I believe what it was is that she realized it was not a verdict on your worth at whatsoever. Because that revenue, that feedback that she got from her revenue didn't say, hey, I'm not just going to be worth nothing. I'm going to be able to flip this around and do this in a sub niche and still make more money. But finally, the one thing you really want to do is redefine winning because success is different for every single person on this earth. Excuse me. If winning means I did not fail this month, to you that means you're surviving. But if winning means, hey, I built an asset that compounds, then you're actually building. You're actually thriving. Um, let's zoom out even a little bit further, right? So historically speaking, right, entire communities have been forced into survival mode through structural barriers, right? That's economic exclusion, housing instability or redlining, right? Lack of access to capital. And when survival is imposed on the outside, externally, right, it becomes generational internally. So now you have family members throughout your lineage trying to break these generational curses. So breaking the survival mindset is not just personal development by far. It's literally what you would call economic liberation. Strategic rebellion. It's literally saying I will not let urgency dictate my vision. And when you really think about it, that's very powerful. It's truly, truly powerful. And that's what you call long game thinking, right? That's what you call legacy thinking. Because survival says, get through the storm. Oh, I'm gonna get through this, right? But going back to stewardship, it says, we're gonna build a fucking shipyard. Fuck this storm. We're gonna build a shipyard. We'll have a bunch of boats that we can all get on, and we won't have to worry about this storm whatsoever. Because when you, even then, surviving, it says, hey, don't drown. Fight, fight, fight to stay above the water, right? That's survival. Stewardship says, nah, fuck this. I'm in this water. I'm going to own this shit and I'm going to swim. I'm going to swim to the best of my abilities, right? And your business is going to reflect whichever philosophy that you embody. Is it going to be the stewardship or is it going to be the survival? Ask yourself that, literally. So here's the bottom line, right? If your business, right, feels exhausting, it feels crazy, it feels reactive, and you actually feel as if you're constantly on edge, don't just tweak your funnels. Audit your mindset because that's going to be driving the funnel. Now, the operating system that you have, right, that's going to determine the output. If you have to upgrade your operating system, upgrade your operating system. Speaking of operating systems, ChatGPT, OpenAI, they literally just upgraded their operating systems, I believe, last night. For those watching right now, if you guys haven't gotten my AI Clone Pro, just go to the website, click the little three bars in the top left if you're watching from your mobile device. If you're not watching from your mobile device, you'll see the menu bar there. Just tap on SCDSC. You'll see the AI Clone Pro menu drop down there. Now, I updated I had to update my AI Clone Pro prompt today. And the main reason why I did this was because I didn't want to make this as technical for, this is not a cheesy sales plug either, by the way. I didn't want to make the prompt for my AI Clone Pro. I didn't want to make that so technical to a point where you had to operate a completely different GPT, right? Matter of fact, it works for any large language model system that you have. I didn't want to make it too technical where you had to upload the prompt and upload files and give it a name. No, you didn't have to do that. Just a simple plug and play. All you had to do was enter in the brackets on what you believe yourself to be as a person and upload that as a prompt. And from there, you would have had every prompt that you inputted, whether it was a new window or a previous open window, it would have stayed the same. It would have gave you your voice, your thinking skills, all of that, right? Right? You joke, how you perceive things to be, and things like that, right? Before I go too far off into this. So what ChatGPT did, they updated their operating system. They updated their entire infrastructure because they're getting ready to start rolling out these ads. They're getting ready to release the free and go systems and the whole business prism platform systems as well. So they literally removed my AI clone prompt from their infrastructure. I had to reintegrate my AI clone prompt into that infrastructure. That's what I mean by saying upgrading the operating system. That's what I mean when I say upgrading the enterprise as well, because the goal is not to eliminate survival. It's not. The goal is to know when it is appropriate. That's literally the goal. And when the house is actually on fire, run. Put on your big boy pants, put on your big girl pants, put on your boots, your sneakers, your J's, whatever you got, your Chuck Taylors, put those on and fucking run. Because when it's just smoke from your imagination, you don't have to run. You can build. And the difference between those two is, how can I put this? The difference between the two states will determine whether you stay in hustle or move into actual ownership, right? Not only that, build something that outlives your panic. Build something that compounds beyond your fear. Something that would still function if you took a whole entire month off. And that's literally the best feeling in the world. Because as of right now, Ty Lopez, even though he's got his things going on with his legal issues, I'm not sure. I believe that's still going on. He just designed his own AI CEO. The dude was literally just laying in bed one night. AI was AI CEO, which is what I'm doing right now as well. But I might just say fuck it and go with his. Be honest, that's what you call psychological evolution. And once you survival mindset clearly, you can't unsee it. You really can't. From that point forward, every decision becomes a choice. You react from fear or you build from vision. One keeps you alive, the other keeps you powerful. Choose wisely is the only thing I could really say from that. Now, the reason I say it is because your business already is. It truly is. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, how far are we in on this? 32:20. That's the end of this live. You guys for watching. I greatly do appreciate it. You guys have any questions to speak on, go on ahead, drop a comment down below. I respond to all the comments. I interact with everyone that I come across, whether it's face-to-face or through video or texting back and forth. I love engaging with you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. But deuces, this your man Shelby.